Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week's theme of non-typical music, exploring sounds that you just don't generally hear on an everyday basis. We're going to be looking at Nickel Creek with the song The Meadow off of their Celebrantance album, which came out only a couple of years ago. Let's dive in and see what Nickel Creek is bringing to the table today.
I saw her. She saw me.
Ooh.
She ordered a cup of coffee. And then to my surprise, she brought it over.
What is this?
Brought up working family. Try to keep it between the I come to face up in the meadow. Her sweet smile barely hovering over mine. Words fail us. Will gravity follow? Oh, it's been a long, long time. Since I last drifted through the meadow with someone wondering, what if I were yours and you were mine? Would we shine brighter in a brighter star shadow? Get lost in its blinding light, like the true love we could leave behind. What if we left true love behind? Keep drifting. The next time I saw her, she didn't see me. I hear her calling from the meadow. Meet me in the meadow. I'll see you in the meadow.
Dude, that was gorgeous. Oh man. Um, what do I say about this? Are there words that can do this justice? I don't think so. Uh, you know what though? It's retroactively, I can. One sec. I'm overwhelmed, dude. I really am. That was beautiful. It reminds me of long, long time ago, the year of 2023, maybe. Y'all introduced me to Zaya Arrows, and I had a profound experience, my first profound experience with microtonal music. And I found music outside of 12 tone intonation that really resonated with me in a powerful way that I found beautiful rather than purely interesting. I'm having that same experience here. This is absolutely gorgeous microtonal music. And it's that feeling again when you're hearing something for the first time, not a band, not a song, but sound. This is the magic that music had when I was, 5, 6 years old. When I didn't know music, I just knew that these sounds made me want to dance or sing along to it or whatever. That's not to say that music isn't still magical for me today, but it's more predictable today. It's like being sticking with the idea of magic, a magician for most of your adult life, and knowing the tricks, the sleight of hand, knowing the usual pieces that you can piece together larger tricks of these smaller components and being able to figure out the trick as it's happening. There's a joy to that, sure. I mean, music to me is like a puzzle, and I love being able to say, this is why it's such a great song, and to understand that deeper layer to music. But this feeling of being completely lost and swept up in it and not I mean, I can still explain this music. It isn't completely foreign and it's still very rooted in traditional sounds. But the harmonies, man, they are magical. And they get me every single time. I just felt like a kid again. It was wonderful. Maybe I really needed that right. I'm starting to tear up again. Talking, man. I don't even know. Let's see. Stuff that's going on in this track. All right. We have a guitar, violin, maybe. Some other string instrument plucked, I think. And then we have the 3 vocals. And I think that's it. I don't remember a percussion. And honestly, I'm gonna be like super honest here. I was not paying a lot of intricate attention to the music. This was one of those songs that just forced me into that casual listening mode. So I might give it a second listen, and we'll go a little bit more in depth if I find that the runtime for this and the detail of the information isn't quite up to what I want it to be. But if I get some things wrong, just know it's not that I wasn't paying attention. I was just paying attention with my heart this time, not my mind. My soul. Then we have the 3 vocalists. Most of this song is in pretty standard time signature. Nothing really stands out to me in that realm. The instruments come in layer by layer. We have a vocalist that comes in. At this point, much like, I guess it was Venetian snares. Back on, I laugh because I accidentally called them that at the end of that video, but I didn't catch it. And a couple of comments had noted it. And yeah, that song just I don't know. That's what I want to call that band for some reason. But the Venetian Snares song started off pretty traditional too. And I was kind of curious, oh, geez, is this going to be one of those cases where maybe it's a solid song? I mean, it was pretty cool classical stuff right there. But is it going to fit the theme? And of course, that song definitely does. I think this song does the same thing. It kicks off in a rather traditional manner, has a little bit of a folk side to it, something country adjacent. There's a little bit of bluesiness to some of the chordal movements and just something very southern about the sound. It may just be the collection of timbres and that opening vocal timbre, kind of giving me more of a country southern vibe. And then there's a held out note that bends downward. This was the first note that, well, note as in musical note, but also like a point where I figured something was going to be different. And I picked up on it immediately. I was like, oh, that's unusual. Yeah, okay. So maybe, maybe this song has some legs for this theme. Let's see what's going on here. And the longer I listen to this, the more the microtonal components are used. We hear it in single vocal ideas, but we also hear it on the string instruments. Their harmonies are unusual to my ear. I can't place an emotion on most of these other than joy, jubilance. Is that a word? Jubilation. It just feels fun and magical to me. And I don't know if that's my experience with it or if that's just what the song is going for. But those dips have darkness to them, beautiful darkness. It isn't, I mean, it is slight tension and it is something that my ear is not used to, but it doesn't come off as abrasive like microtonal music typically does. And I really like that. This beautiful darkness within this rather joyous track. It's kind of upbeat, but it's not dancey. It's more of a swaying type of movement. It has momentum, it has direction, and it's not crushing or, weighty or anything like that. It definitely has uplift, but it isn't, fun and bouncy. It's just kind of light and breezy. And we pair that with these bits of darkness coming in. I'm so scattered on this. We were talking about harmony. Yes, with the vocal harmony, but also with the string harmony too. Like I said, I can't really place it though. It feels it feels calming, but it also feels foreign, as if it were another language where the language itself just feels soothing to listen to, even though you're not familiar with the words. You can infer the emotion through it without knowing the actual, what's actually being said. Um, okay, so let's harmony. Okay, harmony's odd in this. Dude, I've never been so flabbergasted before. Even songs that cause me to take a moment to pause at the end of them, I can still usually like create ideas and conversation and go through a bit of analysis on them. I don't know, dude. This one's just okay. Harmony, we're done with that, I suppose. Vocals, dude. I love the vocal work on this. Even if the harmony was more traditional, I still think I would have loved this just because I love vocal duets and trios. I love layered vocals. I love vocal counterpoint. We get a little bit of that in here, and it's not really counterpoint, I suppose. We do have different vocal ideas, but they're usually cohesive, working together, such as at the end of a few of these lines where you have the center vocalist, they hold out their final note, another vocalist comes in, says some stuff, holds out a final note, another vocalist comes in, says some stuff, holds out their final note, and you create this nice chord at the end of it. And it's just the way that everything works together. The six instruments here, the three vocals and the three strings, the way that they dance around each other melodically, the way that they work off of each other harmonically, the really intense chords that they make that I don't know, man. It's all just so fresh to me. It was just a wonderful experience on this one. I did find some patterns in here. As far as I could tell, we have some sort of verse, chorus structure. I don't know beyond that though. Maybe there's just three verses and choruses. Kind of going for more of that folk idea. But I mean, when we look at the individual ideas on the instruments, they're not really technical. The vocal lines aren't really technical. It really is something that's greater than the sum of its parts. Each individual idea is rather simple, but the way that they come together, the way that they overlap, the harmonies that they create, that's where the magic is present. And it is a beautiful sonic painting that they end up making here with all of these disparate parts. And it's just gorgeous. I don't have anything else to say about this. I don't think. I am going to listen to it again on my own. If I have something to add, I will. Otherwise, the next section will just be lyrics. There are two interesting parts that I completely missed. One is that moving from the second section, we bring the energy down, we kind of move to near silence and then bring that energy back up. This was around minute 240, 250, something like that. To bring us back into the energy to wrap the song up, we actually have a part coming in on the left side. It is a plucked part. The melody goes for, I don't know, a couple of beats, maybe a whole bar, and then it's picked up in the center by the violin, which is bowed. This is very cool, and it's actually something that shows up quite a bit in the song, is picking up where other instruments leave off. It's something that usually happens with dropping melody, where one instrument will play a part of the melody and then end up holding a note and moving towards something a bit more foundational, while another instrument picks up a moving line. It feels like the song is being passed around by all these instruments in a lot of the sections of this, but this I think is the clearest showcasing of that, because this instrument over here completely drops out, and then we get the violin picking up where that melody left off. So the intricate layering is actually a bit more intricate than I expected. I just remember parts kind of socketing into each other's parts, where there might be a couple of notes and then a break or a long held out note, and another instrument kind of fills that in. You kind of feel this intricate dance going on, but it actually is this sort of baton passing where instrumental roles shift from moment to moment, sometimes being more melodic, sometimes being more harmonic. So that was a really interesting thing to realize. The other thing was that there's an instrument I totally missed in here. There's some sort of low-end string, a contrabass, double bass, upright bass, definitely something in that family, it sounds like. Maybe even a finger-plucked cello? Maybe. I probably wouldn't go in that direction, but it's possible. It has a ton of resonance, though. The rest of the instruments feel pretty raw, touched up a little bit with EQ, but not really expanded on in post. But this sound at the bottom feels exceptionally resonant and has a ton of attack. In fact, I'm still not entirely sure if it is just this lower string instrument, or if most of these hits are paired with a light bass kick sound as well. There is a massive punchiness and reverb on this sound that we don't really get from any other instrument. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, and I'm kind of curious how it's played. I did a little bit of looking into this, and there are three musicians here: Sean, who plays the guitar, Sarah, who plays fiddle, and Chris, who plays the mandolin, which I picked up that there was a third string, but I would never have guessed mandolin, although it makes perfect sense. I can kind of hear that timbre now that I know what it is. Who's playing this low end instrument here? So I'm kind of curious if that's just something they added for this track, or if it's a rather consistent part of their music to have this fourth instrument. And how do they do that live? Do they use a backing track, or touring musicians? But yeah, I don't remember that instrument at all, and it doesn't show up too often. Once a bar, usually, sometimes once every other bar, just to create this pulse at the beginning on beat one to give you that solid start. Like I said, it does have a big punchiness at the beginning. There is a percussive element to it, but its role is really pedal tone and to keep some sort of a semblance of a pulse slowly through this song. The highlight to me, and what I focused on intensely on that first listen, was harmonies and how the different parts work together, the different moving parts. But I was very surprised to hear that, because I would never in a million, if you had asked me straight up, dude, was there a bass instrument in this? I'd have told you no after that first listen. Like, I listed the three instruments I heard and the vocalists. So, you know, I think that just speaks to how special this track is. To me, at least. I don't know if other people had the same experience I did, but I'm usually pretty good at picking up details, and especially on something that's going to be a bit simpler like this. Like I said, this is definitely more than the sum of its parts. The ideas themselves are pretty simple. The riffs, the licks, the melody lines, there's nothing in here that is super intricate or progressive or technical. The composition of how everything works together and supports each other and builds off of one another's ideas, that's where the complexity comes in. There is no way that if this hadn't had pulled me into more of a, well, let me rephrase this. If I had been able to stick in an analytical listen to this, I would never have missed the fact that there was a bass showing up. It's very prominent in the mix. You can't miss it. And yet, I did. I was so swept up in the harmonies that I completely missed a big factor of the low end. Like I said, I think that speaks to my experience with this track and how it definitely hit me in a way that most songs don't. And the second listen was just as good as the first. I'm enamored with this. I'm going to have to check out more Nickel Creek immediately. But we still have one last piece of the video left. Let's hit some lyrics on this. So lyrically, this is about the magic of finding such a strong connection with someone that the what's the word I want? That your instincts kind of take over and you look at things through the lens of emotion instead of anything else. It talks about somebody in a coffee shop, presumably seeing someone else. It says, I saw her, she saw me, she ordered a cup of coffee, and then to my surprise, she brought it over. So, I brought up work and family, but tried to keep it between the lines. I think this is really interesting. There's a part of him that knows that this can't go any further. And he's trying to dissuade this from turning into something else. Just needs to be friendly here. But there's also a part of him who seems to have this instant connection. Maybe it's just lust even. He brings up work and family, but sneaks it in. If she catches it, she catches it. But if she doesn't, well, then she doesn't, right? He has a family. He even talks later on saying What would it be like to get lost in this blinding light if I left true love behind? He has true love, I'm presuming. Somebody at home, maybe a girlfriend, maybe a wife, whatever. And he's like, what if I left that behind and just went into this blinding light, get lost in it? This feeling of being swept up in the moment. He says, so I come to face up in the meadow. So, there's been a moment here that's been maybe metaphorically waking up in this meadow, but also maybe literally just kind of forgetting the couple of hours that existed from the coffee shop to the meadow. Maybe he spent all day hanging with this person and now it's just a blur. Such elation and positive chemicals going off in our brains that it was just so infectiously positive, you can't remember it. Says, I wake up, face up in the meadow, her sweet smile barely hovering over mine. And stop thinking. Words fail us. Will gravity follow? Oh, it's been a long, long time. I think it's bizarre how much these lyrics line up with my experience with this track, and not just the way I felt during it. Not just the fact that I also forgot details of the song, but that when I finished the track, my first thoughts were about rekindling a magic with something that I loved. It was about me finding a new kind of music that made me feel like me from decades ago. This song is about having a really good relationship with someone, a strong bond of true love. They really understand you, but it is familiar. And finding something else in someone else that's unfamiliar reminds you of the magic of human connection, or in my case, the magic of music. And having the thought that words fail us. I can't describe how I feel during this experience. For him, it's this possible affair, but for me, it's me flirting with more esoteric sounds. Oh, geez. That's just wonderful. There are only two verses. I remember it being slightly different, but they also have an outro in here, which I'm going to assume is the final 30 seconds after the dip down and then the rise back out of that. The second verse, though, is all about having walked away from this person for whatever reason. Maybe, just kind of stop yourself before anything happens, before it truly turns into an affair, or maybe it was a one-time deal. Who knows? He says, since I last drifted through the meadow with someone wondering what if I were yours and you were mine. Would we shine brighter in a brighter star's shadow, or get lost in its blinding light like the true love we could leave behind? What if we left true love behind to keep drifting? And the next time I saw her, she didn't see me. The outro states, but I hear her calling from the meadow, meet me in the meadow, I'll see you in the meadow. So after this wild day, he never really finds that high again. I hope that doesn't happen to me. with this eclectic side of music, the more esoteric harmonies that we had in here. Although granted, these are a little closer to the traditional 12-tone stuff, it's still a little outside of my wheelhouse. I hope I can continue to find beautiful music like this that pushes me, reminds me of the magic that music can be, and return to my musical Meadow. These are my thoughts. Nickel Creek, the Meadow. What did you think of this? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Maybe you have your own interpretation of this. Maybe you had your own experience with this song. Let me know. Put all of that and any other thoughts you have down into the comment section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Take you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.